Let's be honest, the world doesn't hate freight brokers for no reason. They hate them because they constantly do underhanded stuff that undermines the driver and keeps more money in their pockets and less in the driver's. Now, I'm not saying that every freight broker out there is bad. Some actually do it the right way. But if you've been in the industry for as long as I have, you've either seen this happen or had it happen to you, like missed check-in calls and chargebacks, even though the tracking was already on. POD deadlines used as an excuse to cut pay. Layover money collected but never passed to the driver. Or in some cases, even lumper fees that are denied after the load was delivered and offloaded. This video shows how drivers do the work, while some freight brokers keep more of the money in their pocket and don't give it to the actual carrier. I'm going to expose 5 unethical ways that freight brokers take money out of drivers' pockets after the work has already been done. So let's start off. Have you guys heard of this missed check call chargeback? Well, it happens, I promise you, as absurd as it sounds. Here's the story. An owner-operator books a load that requires automated GPS tracking through the broker's app or through an online load booking platform. The broker has real-time visibility from pickup all the way to the delivery, but buried in their rate confirmation is a line requiring the driver to call or email at specific times, pickup, en route, and at the delivery. The driver picks up the load, turns on the tracking, runs the freight with absolutely no issues. During transit, the driver misses one manual check-in call, assuming that automated tracking is enough for the freight broker. After delivery, the settlement shows as a $150 chargeback with missed check-in call. When the driver disputes it, the broker says tracking was active, but per our policy, manual check-ins are still required, and you can see this in page 352 of our agreement. Let's be clear, the broker already had real-time visibility. The load was delivered on time. There's absolutely no service failures that occurred, yet the driver was penalized for miscommunication. Now, I want you to put in the comments, what in the world would you do if this happened to you? That's how a procedural technicality becomes profit for a freight broker. That's story number 1. Have any of you guys heard of a chargeback with POD not submitted on time? Here's another story. An owner-operator delivers a load on Friday afternoon and receives a signed POD from the receiver. The rate confirmation says that PODs must be submitted within 24 hours. Because it's late on Friday, the driver scans and submits the POD on Monday morning. Fast forward 30 days, when the carrier gets paid, the settlement shows a $250 late POD submission deduction. When questioned, the load broker responds, per the rate confirmation, PODs must be submitted within 24 hours. Weekend delays are not an exception. What in the world would you say to that excuse? Now, here's the reality. The load was delivered on time. The broker already confirmed delivery with the receiver. There's absolutely no financial loss that occurred, and the deduction exists only to benefit the freight broker because an administrative failure, not a service failure. The driver did the job, the broker used the clock in order to deduct. Number 3, how about this for an example? Layovers. An owner-operator picks up a load scheduled for the next day delivery. So let's take an example, Illinois going to Wisconsin, only 300 miles. At the receiver, there's no dock available or their forklift broke, and the driver is told to wait until the following day to get offloaded. The driver notifies the broker immediately, checks in properly, and sits over 24 hours to get offloaded, clearly qualifying for a layover. The broker bills the shipper and collects $250, but when it comes time to pay, no, they always find a way. And the settlement comes back, no layover pay is included. The broker says the shipper didn't approve it, or layover wasn't in the rate confirmation. Later, the driver learns that the shipper did pay the layover to the freight broker, but the freight broker just didn't pass it on to the driver. The broker gets paid, the driver absorbs the time, fuel, and lost opportunity. The layover became pure profit margins for the freight broker. This is absurd. Number 4, you guys are gonna love this one. Lumper fees avoided. Well, they always have a way to avoid the lumper fees. An owner-operator arrives at a grocery warehouse to deliver a refrigerated load. The receiver requires a $225 lumper fee before offloading. The driver pays it in order to get offloaded. Here are 3 common ways that money just disappear and the owner-operator doesn't get paid. Story number 1, the driver submits the receipt and the broker says lumper fees weren't pre-approved even though unloading was required. You wouldn't believe how many times we heard this one. Story number 2, the receipt is submitted the same day. but days later, the broker claims that it was submitted too late. Are you kidding me? And doesn't pay the full amount to the carrier. Number 3, how about a partial reimbursement? The broker bills the shipper for the full lumper, but only reimburses you for part of it, calling the rest an administrative adjustment. The driver paid to get unloaded, the broker kept the difference. This happens in our industry constantly. Now, let's not forget about the margins that nobody talks about. Freight brokers don't work for free, and that's fine. They're entitled to make a commission and profit. But many are quietly taking between 15 to 25% of the gross earnings, while drivers absorb the risk, the cost, and all the deductions. Now, if you don't believe that, ask to see the shipper's invoice, because when money disappears after delivery, it didn't just vanish, it was moved from your pocket to the freight brokers. If any of this has happened to you, comment below and share the video. The more drivers speak about it, the harder this becomes to avoid. This only changes when these conversations reach the right people, the shippers, the regulators, and the industry leaders who need to see what's really happening in our industry. Now, I'm not here to burn the industry down, I'm here to help clean it up. So if you want transparency, accountability, and fair pay, help me push this forward. Your voice and your story matters.